Hi everyone, I'm Melissa and welcome to CloudMom.com. We've all been hearing so much about how important it is for our children to be creative. So today we're going to be doing one of our fables. And the idea with this fable is we are not going to give you the ending, and we are going to ask you to give us the ending or to watch it with your child and write into the site giving us your ending. It's also a great thing for your children to play out when they play creatively. So the name of today's fable is The Golden Boy. There once was a boy named Nick, and Nick was a very adventurous sort of lad. He loved to go off on adventures. One day, Nick decided to go on an adventure, and he decided to go down the trail behind his house. His mommy and daddy told him never to go down the trail, but today he decided to go. After all, he would be home before dinner, and they would never know. So off he headed. And as he got to the end of the trail, he saw an absolutely beautiful lake. And around the lake were all sorts of things that Nick just loved so much. He saw bears, and he saw butterflies, he saw foxes, he saw snakes, and he saw birds. He just couldn't believe all these beautiful things. And then in addition to all the beautiful things that were before his eyes, all of a sudden he got whiff of the most delicious smell. So he followed the smell. And the smell led him to a tunnel. Inside the tunnel were just tons and tons and tons of the most gorgeous, huge roses that Nick had ever seen. Usually he wasn't so into roses because, after all, he was a boy, and aren't roses kind of a girl type of thing? But these were just so luscious that he couldn't take his eyes off them, and he couldn't believe the colors of all the roses. They were red and white and yellow and orange. They were just absolutely beautiful. So, smelling all these roses, Nick found his way eventually to the end of the tunnel, and he fell out of the tunnel, and it was all of a sudden very, very bright. He became quite dazed, and he had a hard time sort of bestirring himself, but when he became more alert and he looked around, in front of him he saw the most incredible and the most enormous golden tree. Everything about the tree was gold. It had a huge gold trunk. It had gold branches. It had gold leaves. And inside the gold leaves, even the stems were gold. Nick was just so entranced by this tree. He just had to climb it. So he began to climb up the golden trunk and through the golden branches, trying not to step on too many of the golden leaves. And as he got to the top of the tree, he saw an enormous golden door. He decided to knock on the door to see what was inside. So knock he did. Knock, knock, knock. Then he knocked again. Knock, knock, knock. Suddenly, the door opened. Creak! And into the golden house went Nick. He found himself in a place where everything was completely golden. The floors, the walls, the ceilings, even the lanterns. And looking in the golden house, at the end of a very long hallway, he saw a boy, a golden boy. Everything about the boy was golden. His face, his hair, his mouth, his pants, his shirt, his shoes, and even his shoelaces. It was quite a sight. The boy had sort of a sweet look about him, and he beckoned to Nick, inviting him to come to his playroom and to see his toys. And just what we would have expected, all the toys were in fact golden. Nick was having such a wonderful time, really the time of his life, but he did remember that he needed to be home in time for dinner. So he asked the little golden boy if he could come with him home for dinner and leave the golden tree, go down the golden trunk, travel through the tunnel, around the lake with all of the animals, and down the trail and back home. But all of a sudden, the golden boy looked very, very sad. He had such a sad look on his face that Nick thought he just could even cry. And so Nick asked the golden boy, "Why can't you come home with me?" And the golden boy said, "I can't leave the golden tree. Otherwise..." And there ends our fable. Why can't the golden boy go? Tell us your ending, and it will become our ending. Write into our site and tell us how you think this marvelous fable ends. We can't wait to hear what you come up with. And thank you so much for watching CloudMom.